And we're live, and D is gone.
Of course.
D is playing Invisible tonight.
I'm here.
Hello, everyone.
I'm the
This
ghost
is
of
another
war.
Sunday. Or
The
Saturday.
ghost that walks.
How's everybody doing tonight?
Oh, Lord of mercy. Anything that can go wrong will go wrong.
That's the way it goes, buddy. It's the way it
Murphy's
goes.
Law. Murphy's Law.
Oh. How is
Right.
everybody else doing tonight?
Oh, doing pretty good. Yourself?
This is one of those days I want to say water, and take like 3 drinks.
I mean, we could start this whole drinking game thing again.
Oh,
That's the last one.
We'll save that for another night.
Yeah. So everybody had a good week or what? Yeah.
Quite an
decent?
interesting week. Quite an interesting week. I could say I finally got some projects off the ground. Finally ready to look at putting some things in the native species tank as far as configuring it. So that's a good time. Anytime you can get another tank set up is a good time.
Yep, exactly.
How you guys
myself,
doing?
well, not too bad. Had a little bit of my breaker kick on my tank tonight for some reason. I don't know if it's because I hooked up some of my drone charging kits, but yes, before I got on here, skimmer overflowed. I don't know why that turned on. It shouldn't have turned on if the power went out, but it did.
Holy
so
mackerel.
That's what I was dealing with half an hour before the show started. So
I was just trying to tell Ryan he's going to have some happy corals.
yeah, happy all right. I try to keep everything so pristine. It's awful to see it so foggy
Well,
right now.
sometimes that's a good thing. Sometimes a little bit of nutrient, a little kick
Oof.
up in it. Like,
If you saw the stuff that Deltec produces there, it's crazy. It's like tar, man. It's like tar. It's gonna be like they're gonna have like an addiction problem tonight. These corals.
Oh, God.
So that's a question. You clean your skimmer by hand or do you use a brush?
I empty it and then I got a brush that I clean it out with. I take it
Sean?
outside. Usually use a garden hose on it. No, that's not nasty.
Because
do
now
it.
it's
Just-
cold outside. Usually I use the hose, but now it's cold outside. So it's like I'm not going out there. We had hail today, snow today.
Yeah, exactly. It's the same thing here in Canada. I can't use the hose either, so I got to try other ways. But it smells so bad, so bad. Like I can smell it in the air right now because of this issue.
That is unfortunate. All right, so let's do a couple of quick little shout outs here.
Yeah.
We got Sid like normal, so Battle of
Yep.
Stars in here.
Battle.
We got men wear pink. He's back.
Right, and
Proud
Producer
Reef.
Reef, of course.
Yeah, Producer
Good to
Reef.
see you guys again.
Mark's on tonight. Mark's damn in desperate need of a nutrition export. I've been on him all day, but about
Right.
you got to get a reactor.
But
And
I
I've been
love this, though.
posting. We've been posting all week. You guys talking about nutrient export. What are you doing? I want to know what you guys are doing out there. Who's running refugiums? Who's just doing water changes? Who's looking at the Paxbellum? Because this is the night to ask your questions.
Yes.
I mean, I'm telling you, I'm definitely looking at one now. I tested my phosphate the other day and about cried when I saw it was 0.21.
Oh, really?
You don't want to.
Yeah.
You don't want to know what mine is. Mine's about 0.1, 0.2 all the time.
A point
0.1, 0.2 all the time.
See, my corals
But it depends on what it depends on what you're keeping though.
I mean, my hammer, or not my hammers, but my torches really don't like it. I've got one that's just looking really bad right
Yeah.
now. And I'm sitting there going, man, I got $1,000 in torches sitting in this tank. I got to fix that.
If you
Yep.
bring them from a pristine tank and then put them into a 0.2, of course they're gonna. They may come back, but they're gonna.
Yes, yes.
Yep.
Mark, to answer your question, we are not planning on giving away anything tonight. That wasn't something that was discussed. Next week, however, here, little sneak peek, we're going to be announcing it here fairly soon, but we've got, give or take, about $7,000 or so worth of stuff to be given away. So next week is
7G.
definitely going to be a big show to come watch.
Yeah.
Definitely
it's gonna
going
be
to
a cool
be.
one.
You're
gonna be a good
definitely
one.
going to be there.
Reef and Chill, Sean, you survived the bender. Barely.
What a night. Oh, that's
Bender.
good old Blue Reef there. Blue Reef.
You call that a bender? Come on, you guys are lightweight.
Oh, man, I
Lightweight.
kept drinking afterwards. What are you talking about?
That's the best part.
Mark's like, I was at 0.35.
Oh, God.
The poor guy. Yeah, he's been losing torches and stuff. Hey, Mark. I think
Yeah,
that's
but
it.
Mark just set that tank up though. Then he just move everything over, so you're gonna get a little bit of a spike.
Yeah, but remember last week he had a little bit of Lars going on. Remember?
Right.
Now you're paying for it.
There you go. Yeah, we were talking. He lost 3 torches.
Wow.
Yeah. It's going to be okay, Mark. It's going to be okay, buddy.
Guys,
sit here talking about his phosphate being off his Hanna checker. Bro, you don't even have that many corals, though. You can have those super high phosphates.
But if you're going through a swing, even regular pH swing, if you don't have it under control, don't add things like torches. Like let it stabilize. You're gonna be just throwing your money out the window.
Right. All right. Well, we are starting to get some questions rolling in here. So
yeah, I know.
We do have Tristan on the line here. Ryan, I'm gonna let you kind of take over on this one.
Yeah, sure. So we have our special guest. We got Tristan on here. He's the owner and inventor of the Paxbellum. How's it going tonight, Tristan?
Great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so thanks for calling in. We're happy to have you here tonight to learn a little bit about your product and, about the nutrient export that it does.
We definitely need some advice.
we had a lot of people, having nutrient export problems. And like myself, I'm always pushing about the more natural way if possible, around the Chaeto reactor here, or you know what I mean? Like Mark, I was talking to Mark, my buddy there, and trying to get him onto a Chaeto reactor. Cause like you said, he's lost like 3 torches, he's running what, 0.35. So, he's looking at all these different ways to go. So it's a great timing to get you on the show and, talk about what your product is and what it does and all that great info.
Yeah, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
One good thing I know is a long time ago, I remember meeting Tristan in Brooklyn in one of the reef shows we had here in New York, not in Brooklyn, when they were getting that Paxbellum off the ground, and just the idea about compartmentalizing your nutrient export, easy removal, not having a dedicated piece of real estate in your sump. It was groundbreaking. I mean, it's groundbreaking, leaps and bounds. So you guys definitely want to look into it if you're setting up a new tank, because you may save yourself allocating but so much space in your sump, and it makes your system so much cleaner.
Yeah, so I brought one up here, so because some people might not know what it is.
Yep.
Right? So this right here is the Paxbellum. That's the C36 ARD. So sorry, I cut you in there.
No, I'm getting into the same thing. So the Paxbellum, and I'm sure Tristan will correct me, compartmentalized nutrient export for growing your algae, your Childomorpha, where your algae-based nutrient removal paraphernalia in an enclosed space.
Yeah,
and
ARID stands for Algae Remediation Illuminated Device. So
that sounds much better.
It's not a refugium. It's really geared towards the most efficient growth of Chaetomorpha for nutrient export. And it's actually a device that I came up with to control red field ratios. So it was to limit phosphate in the system by dosing everything else, including nitrates or nitrogen sources. So without the nitrogen source, the phosphate can't be taken up by the algae anymore. So that's why we include that with the reactor.
Yes.
And now, Tristan, I was reading up on some information that I didn't know about the Paxbellum and how it actually utilizes heat between the LEDs and the Chaetomorpha, and there's a reaction. Can you tell us like something about the reaction that's created in there and how it actually benefits the growth inside that chamber?
Okay, so the LEDs are attached to a heat pipe, and the heat pipe is connected to a heat sink outside the reaction chamber. So the heat pipe, it's a hollow tube. It's sealed on both ends. There's a little bit of water inside, and vacuum's drawn. So under lower pressure than atmospheric pressure, the water will boil at a lower temperature. So the LEDs are only getting up to like 120 Fahrenheit, but that water inside is boiling, and that steam goes up underneath the heat sink, releasing the heat to the heat sink and then to the outside air. So your LEDs stay very cool, and that maximizes the lifespan of the LED, as well as prevents scale buildup on the light sleeve. So you don't block any of the light. And it's also a fail-safe, so should water stop flowing through the reactor, that heat pipe and heat sink assembly will keep the water inside cool enough that you should be able to realize in time before you cook the algae.
Okay.
Okay, so now I've got to ask, because there are a lot of people that are accident prone. If that water is boiling and it's touching the heat sink to cool down, how hot does that heat sink get?
You can put your hand on it.
Under 120 Fahrenheit.
Yeah.
So I made sure that it stays under the temperature that would cause a burn to skin. So yeah, it's 120. Normally water boils at 212, but because there's a vacuum inside there, it boils at 120 or lower.
Perfect. Well, that definitely answers that question, because I know that that was kind of a concern that I had there, because I'm looking at putting one on my office tank, and if I do that, I mean, I've got a lot of little kids that come around there and everything.
Yeah.
The last thing I want is somebody touching it and potentially getting hurt.
Yes.
And now,
Right, that's not an issue. There wouldn't be a burn. No.
Fantastic.
So I get questions asked all the time. What's the difference between a Paxbellum and like a algae scrubber? Because we had that discussion one time before. You said like an algae scrubber, it produces almost like a sugar, feed the bacteria and stuff like that.
mm-hmm.
What is the two difference compared, like in your words?
So yeah, like an algae scrubber is open to the atmosphere, and it's utilizing microalgae. So it's able to take up as much CO2 from the atmosphere as it wants, whereas the arid is sealed, so it's dependent completely on CO2 respired by the tank organisms, or if that's not available, bicarb. So with a algae turf scrubber, it can take up as much CO2 and create excess sugars.
Yeah.
And it's just leaching that into the system water. So you can get yellowing of the water.
Okay, yes. Makes
A
sense.
whole bunch of other negative effects. Yeah.
See, that's a good point. People are wondering sometimes, like the water has that little tinge to it.
And Skyman actually, Skyman asked, how easy or annoying is it to harvest the algae? And I saw you do it, and I just thought that was the fun part of having it, actually removing it. So it's really easy to remove that little chamber out, screw it off, harvest from the chambers, and put it back together. It's really clean. Like, as you can see in the picture, it's all enclosed. We had a lot of questions on the forum this week about how to shade people's protein skimmers when they have a refugium. This is not a refugium. This is an enclosed, capsulated device that you can put anywhere in your sump and run the water through it. So it's a very clean method of nutrient export.
So you can see right there's a picture of the heat sink right there. And I was touching it today, and it doesn't burn your hand at all.
And the chamber is wrapped in a 100% light blocking material.
Yeah,
So it's minimizing light spill.
So you guys can see it there.
Now, I know this is the larger of the Paxbellum models.
Yeah.
What is the range of models that you have? Like if I have a 125 gallon tank, I forgot what model that was there.
I think that's the N14, if I'm correct. It's good from 40 to 120 gallons, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, the N18 would be 40 to 150 gallon. N24 120 to 250.
Yeah, you like to go plus
and
one.
Then,
I like to go plus one.
Yeah.
I actually recommend undersizing.
Undersizing?
So it's always catching up. Yeah, so it's always catching up to your nutrient load. If you have too big of a reactor, you could have just the algae won't fill up the entire reactor, and you might get other organisms getting a foothold inside the chamber.
Good point. Good point. Is it possible to over extract nutrients, like you were mentioning, going lower rather than going higher? Because I know a lot of people, our instinct, since we use kind of the same thought process for everything. Protein skimmers, you always go plus one, or you have the power to dial it down.
Yeah.
it's definitely probably possible to over extract. People have like extremely low nutrient levels and they see coral coloration drop off or coral growth stunted. So what if you just use a flow limiting pump? Is that something you recommend, or just going a size smaller?
Going a size smaller, I wouldn't limit the flow through the reactor.
No.
But you could reduce the number of hours of light if you didn't want to take up as many nutrients.
Yeah, more light, more nutrients.
As few as 4 hours on the low end, 16 on the high.
Yeah. More light equals more nutrients.
We've had customers that have actually dosed phosphate because they oversize the reactor. So you end up dosing nitrates and phosphates and trace elements.
Yeah.
But that gives you the control to set those ratios how you want them.
Exactly. That's why I test weekly, like my P04 N03, because that's how I always changing my schedule on my lighting, because I don't want to go overboard and suck my tank clean. But at the same time, it gives me that opportunity now. I'm just throwing the food at my tank, and it's such a great exporter. It lets me feed my corals more and my fish, and that's beneficial in my book.
Can we add, you guys, like Ryan, you got all that Chaeto growing all over the place. This gives you opportunity. I know a lot of the stores are low on Chaeto.
They are low. They are.
You can't find any anywhere in Brooklyn. I went to like a couple of places this week. I see nothing.
Exactly.
Yeah, pretty much everybody's out.
Yeah, you see my son Hayden here. He was helping me. We were gonna clean half of this. What I usually do is I take half off the bottom, half off the top, and then I just put it back in, and you're done. That's how easy it is. You just undo the bolts, clean out half of it, put it back in, turn it back on. That's it. And you can either throw the rest away or give it to your friends. Or
I was gonna say, so anybody that's in Canada, you need Chaeto, to hit up Ryan.
Yeah.
He's growing a ton of it. Okay,
that's called a happy problem.
Right. So Mark actually asked a question that I was going to ask, and he's wondering, as far as pumps go, why doesn't it have a built-in pump assembly? And if so, are there any recommended kind of flow rates for the pumps that people throw at them?
Yeah, we didn't include a pump because every system is so different. It's just kind of gimmicky to throw in a cheap pump. So we really spent the money on the chamber and the light assembly and just doing quality components and build. But yeah, we do have recommended flow rates, and these are for a pump at 0 head.
Yeah.
So the flow for the M18 would be 150 to 200 gallon per hour at 0 head, and N24 would be 200 to 400 gallon per hour. C30 would be 350 to 750, and C36 600 to 1,000 gallon per hour.
Yeah.
And you want a pressure rated pump. You don't want just a high flow DC or something like that. Because as the Chaeto grows, you're gonna get more resistance to flow.
Yeah. Yeah, it does happen. I run the BeavsReef 400 off it to get that flow rate. Plus, as you said, as it grows denser, the flow rate slows down. And you definitely can tell. Sometimes I got to ramp it up because I know it's growing like crazy in there. Then it's time to harvest as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, go ahead.
Another good way to know that that your flow rate is proper is just looking at the growth rate at the bottom of the chamber against the growth rate at the top of the chamber. And if you notice the growth rate at the top of the chamber is much slower, that's an indication that your flow rate's a bit too low.
Oh, good point. Good point. We got a couple questions here too. Jason, will it support pod population?
Yeah, copepods, arthropods, even snails, they all grow in there. But during harvest, you're going to disturb the population. So what I would recommend is the outflow of the reactor should go into a rubble zone in the sump. So any pods that are coming out have a place to hang out.
Yep.
In the sump.
That's what mine do, because I actually have a refugium as well in my tank just for pods, keep my population up. And so I have my Paxbellum. Everything's hard plumbed it goes right back into my refugium in my sump. So that's a good pointer.
And I see a message from Robert Poorman. He mentions, do you have to worry about particulates getting caught in there? Like, is there, that's something you want to probably run after your filter socks?
Yeah, it's sort of a mechanical filter as well. The polysaccharides, sugars that come off the algae act as a bioflocculant. So you'll get detritus and the biofilm growing on the algae in the chamber. So even if you don't harvest, we recommend rinsing the Chaeto every 2 weeks.
Oh, okay.
So that's a secondary nutrient export.
Nice. I mean, I'm really starting to dig this. I've been fighting with myself probably 6 months now on whether or not I wanted to actually get a reactor. But
I've been telling you, Sean. I've been telling you, man.
I'm just saying, the more I'm hearing, the more I'm kind of like, okay, I just need to go and do it.
Well, if you get a Paxbellum,
it's the Rolls
you can
Royce.
free up. Well, you can free up that whole chamber that you had dedicated for Chaeto.
You could,
and you can add something else in there, or just free up the space.
Well, I don't even have one on my my office tank.
Like, there's no reactor.
Nothing. I don't have a reactor. I don't have any
you don't have anything.
I don't have anything. On that, which is why I've been kind of going. Yeah, I need to get something, especially with my phosphates being so high.
Exactly.
My mind.
Exactly.
Well, yeah, they're all sitting in the tank. Phosphates just cultivating in the tank. Going up.
Everything's getting removed by ChemiPure and filter
that
floss.
gets expensive. The filter floss not so much, but going through that ChemiPure can get expensive on a big tank. I got 2 tanks. I actually stopped going that route for going more of the Chaeto or natural route.
Okay, so I am kind of curious though. What kind of LEDs are actually used for it, as well as like what Mark's asking here? What is kind of the average lifespan of the LED tubes?
Good question.
Yeah, so the LEDs are a white and a red, and the white is a cool white. So white LEDs are just like a 424, 50 nanometer blue with a phosphor coating. So it shifts some of the energy into the greens, the yellows, and orange, which activates other pigments besides just chlorophyll. And then the other is a red, which is a 660 nanometer. So we get a profile that is dominant for chlorophyll, but it hits all the other pigments as well.
Okay, good to know.
And the lifespan is with the cooling system that we have, it's about 5 years before you'll see a drop off or a shift in the light.
Okay, now is that part actually available?
Yeah, I saw it on their website.
Outside of buying the whole assembly?
Yeah, you can buy just the LED array.
Yeah, you get all the parts.
Serviceable.
Yeah,
Everything's
pretty
serviceable.
much everything separately.
Okay.
Like unique corals.
And we try to.
And for you guys in New York, Manhattan Aquariums.
Yeah, Manhattan Aquariums, yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
now does it
Aquariums, Unique and BRS.
Yeah. Now someone was asking what other species of algae can be grown in there. I mean, I used to grow what is it? Chaeto or Caulerpa. People don't see too much Caulerpa anymore.
No.
I wouldn't recommend Caulerpa since it goes sexual.
Yeah, get in your main display.
Saturday night, everybody goes sexual.
Ooh.
Oh, jeez.
At least our
Walked
jokes
into
do.
that one.
Well, I mean,
I've seen Dragon's Breath, Ogo. Yeah.
It'd be a good
Yeah.
good experiment for you guys out there keeping seahorses, trying to keep those natural biotope type the red. What about the red those red algae? I forgot what the actual name of it is.
then I kind of wanted to try that. I've actually got red Ogo. So now that he's saying this, I'm going,
because it's hard to grow that in a refugium. It's kind of hard to grow some of those things, but it'd be really interesting to do it in the pack, to try it in the Paxbellum.
Yeah, Gracilaria. I've seen that.
Gracilaria. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'd been pulling what little of my hair out, trying to remember. Good.
So we have another question here from Anten. Hey, does Cheeto in a sump work as well as a vellum?
I say the
Tristan,
Cheeto and
do
the
we lose
vellum
you?
is better than the sump.
Sorry, say?
Said, does the
Yeah, it definitely works better than in the sump. You're maximizing nutrient contact by the water being pushed through the algae,
Right.
as well as the light. The light is evenly spread throughout the algae, and it only has to penetrate through the algae, like depending on the model, between 1 to 3 inches, 3.5 inches,
Makes sense.
and it's intense light. Yeah.
now? How do you feel about the
So
evaporation?
there's no dead spots.
I would imagine the evaporation is a little better using that chamber rather than having a refugium, because I know in the like now in the winter when I got the heat
Yeah.
on in the house, I'm losing a heck of a lot of water evaporating from that sump, as well as the tanks.
Plus, another point or two. Any guys that run calcium reactors out there, you can get the calcium reactor kit, so you can run your fluent line into your Paxbellum, so it'll help burn off that pH and CO2, not pH, but the CO2, because your pH drops because of your calcium reactor. So this is a beneficial way. Runs right up through all that Cheeto and helps to increase your pH. So there's a kit.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
That
some.
assembly works with or without a peristaltic pump.
Yeah.
Oh, that's something you guys make
Yep.
now.
Yeah.
I got it on mine. That's where I run. I run my line right into my Cheeto.
Hey Tristan, you come a long way. They didn't have that before. that was a long time ago. That's a good point though, because
Yeah.
It's definitely evolved.
that's definitely alleviating that extra reactor to have the burnout from the calcium
Yeah.
reactor go into the second reactor, and then frees up a bit of real estate there.
Yeah, because everybody's chasing pH this past 2 months now.
More like
Well,
4,
know,
but yeah.
Well, people don't realize, there's a lot of quarantine. There's a lot of people working from home. That's an extra amount of CO2
Big
that
time.
you're gassing into the room, which affects the pH in your tank. I mean, it's not the most thought of thing, but when you have the chaetomorpha kind of interacting with the oxygen exchange in the tank and the CO2 in the room, there's a lot going on that we forget about.
Yeah, that's true. Also, running it on reverse daylight will keep that pH level more even over 24 hours.
So now Sky, I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know. You're trying to throw your curveball, Tristan. Sky says, what are the par levels inside the packs? I know you said what those are, 460 nanometer diodes?
Yeah, it's 660.
660.
When we put the apogee meter right up against the light sleeve, we got a reading of 2000.
Wow.
Right at
Woo!
the white
Yep.
LED.
Puts my reef
towards
rights
the
to
wall-
shame.
Towards
Wow.
the wall of the C36, it was reading, I believe it was around 120 through the algae. And then the inside of the chamber is a white surface, so it reflects light back once it back into the algae. So it's definitely photo saturation levels.
So now, with running the par that high, though, do you have to worry about burning out the macros?
Yeah, that's why we suggest dosing iodine, making sure you at
okay.
least have natural seawater levels,
Yep.
and starting off with 4 hours of light.
Okay.
Yeah, it will happen.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
I haven't
I-
tested for that either. I got to get that test.
I dose iodine weekly.
When was the last time any of us tested for iodine?
I do.
I did just the other day when I sent out an ICP test.
Okay, I'm guilty.
Did you send one? Did you send one out? Oh,
I
We
did.
were supposed to do it together.
Yeah, I
Jesus,
thought it was supposed to
this
be
guy.
a teamwork.
See,
I had dying
see what we're
torches,
dealing with?
okay?
Oh,
We were going to do it at the same time.
We'll
I'll
get
do another one.
We'll get a Pax, man. You gotta get a Paxbellum, buddy.
That's what I'm saying. I'm definitely going to get one, okay? I'll bite the bullet. I'll
Do
do
it.
it. I'll get one. But I need some suggestions on a good pump.
I love mine so much. Well, you got to go get yourself in a Biz A400. Bless you.
Oh,
Oh,
brother.
thanks.
He don't want to pump
Look.
it over his roof of his house.
Right
Yeah.
here, Sean. Right here, buddy.
Yeah.
Here, right here. I bet.
See, I got money, but I ain't got that kind of money.
But it's the only pump you'll ever need.
He's right about that. That'll probably run the boiler
years.
in my house. I'll probably hook my house up to that pump too.
I'm a big fan.
It is a good pump, man.
No, it's just when you've had one.
But I'm amazed at the fact that it shouldn't be, but we do get in the habit of running a lot of flow through our sumps, and the fact that is probably he's recommending running a slower flow but strong enough to keep that movement and particulate moving through the unit. You said about what 400 gallons per hour. That's pretty good. You got guys that are pushing water through this sump like it's a rocket ship.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the one that I was looking at though, if I could look here, the N18. I mean, you're showing what 250 to 400 through it,
and that's really low. That's really light.
150 to 200.
That's it. Yeah. I mean, there aren't a lot of pumps out there that are
a maxi jet. A maxi jet can run that.
Like there are a lot of pumps out there that are doing that kind of flow.
Yeah.
But you were talking about pressure rated versus just the flow. So now I'm curious. So say I go out and go buy an N18, then what would you suggest from all of your testing and everything as far as a reliable pump goes for it?
I mean, when we first came out with the reactors, it was like a maxi jet 900 for the N18. And now I know CJ pumps have become more popular, so we're recommending like the 1.0,
okay,
1.5.
I love my CJ.
Yeah.
I just looked at it the other day. It's adjustable. It's reliable.
Perfect. Well, now we got to figure it out.
I think it was like a half-inch, like the CJ and the maxi jet have a half-inch.
Barb. They have the fitting
outflow, so you can put flexible vinyl tubing right onto that, and then right into the N18.
Okay, well now I know what pump I need to get. I love my CJ pumps. Anybody
very
that follows
affordable
me
solutions.
Yeah, I got CJ pumps too.
All right, done deal. I'm gonna pull the trigger and I'm gonna get a Pax.
Woo!
Awesome, thank you.
Robert Poorman, can it be wait, Red Sea makes the iodine test. Thank you. I have it sitting on this test, Rob. Don't make me feel bad. I haven't used it.
Solifer does too. Solifer.
He picking on me. I got that sitting on my counter there. Now, have you ever had an application of that Paxbellum for freshwater, which is a very good question.
Yeah,
I don't know a lot of people that use it, that technology.
Thought about using like Java moss.
Mm-hmm.
Java moss or like guppy grass.
Guppy grass I use a lot of. So
Yeah,
there's your
those are
answer.
Good contenders.
See, now you got me really thinking, because I've been sitting here thinking about changing over my water box to a freshwater tank.
Yeah.
Go for it. Go for it, Sean. We could do this.
Yeah. Buy two. Buy two, Sean.
You know I'm always gung. I got everything going. You need guppy grass, I send it.
Right into the reactor.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Okay. Okay.
Go big or go home, Sean. Like, come on.
I mean, I'm gonna go broke. That's what I'm gonna do.
It's tax season, bud. You're making all kinds.
It's tax season.
Yeah.
You're gonna have 6 months of boredom.
Yeah, but see, the thing is while you guys are getting returns, I'm paying $8,000 bills to the IRS. So I mean,
you too. I got 2 kids in college. That's all.
Well, you're paying the college, not the IRS.
I'm in Canada.
Paying them too.
we get
but
money.
you pay your taxes regardless throughout the year with your 40% earned income take home.
Yeah, we get money back, man. That's reef money.
I mean,
we don't get it back. Our money pretty much goes to Hammer and Nails or some guy's Bentley and government.
I pay a little extra, so I get a nice little kickback so I can buy some toys.
So get a nice little shout out, right? Getting a nice little shout out from David Mai. So first time reefer here says he's been running his packs for quite a few years, and it's hands down grows Chato the best out of all of the units.
And if you guys don't know about First Time Reefer TV, check him out because he's got the big build and all the toys right out in the open. So go check him out. Thanks for supporting us, Dave. We support you right back.
David was actually one of the first people I ever watched on YouTube as far as this stuff goes. Yeah, because I was trying to get the Cade after I learned a bit about it and everything. I was trying to win that Cade from Algae Barn and everything, and he was actually the only person to have any Cade videos up.
Yeah.
So we got another follow-up question here from Mark. Can I replace the lights myself, or does that unit need to be sent in?
The end user can replace them. It just slides in from the top right into the light sleeve.
Okay, so it's already pre-built. You just slide it in.
Yeah, 10 seconds.
Nice.
Ryan, do you actually have a picture of the top? I'm kind of curious to see if we can see how that works.
Like the top of it?
Oh, yeah. It's on their site actually too. If you guys, we'll put some links into the Facebook page so you guys can get some schematics and breakdown.
Yeah, the heat sink here, it just pulls out. It's a rod. You just pull it out.
Okay, so now I'm curious because this brings up a mechanical question, right? So you've got the little screws for the top there in order to be able to do the harvesting and everything. But if that just pulls right out, then
this piece does.
But then how does it seal? Or is that just down inside a tube that's right?
It's in a tube.
It's in a tube.
Yeah. There's a unit seal on the lid and a light sleeve that goes through the unit seal. So then the LED array slides down into the light sleeve.
Okay, see, that makes a whole lot more sense to me now because I was kind of curious about how that was working as far as getting it sealed. If it was just pulling.
There's me. There's some harvest. There's some harvests for free.
Oh my gosh.
I was trying to see if I had a better picture of the down the middle there, but you can see a bit of it there. It's not the best picture in the world, but
now how that's harvested after like how long?
Oh, that's about 2 weeks.
Holy crap!
Yeah,
I'd be selling that.
I'll cut half of that right off and leave the rest.
I'd be selling that, baby. So,
okay, so
Paxbellum as a source of income.
Right. So that brings an interesting question, though. So if you're harvesting every 2 weeks, are you adjusting your light cycle then?
Yeah, I'll drop my lighting down a couple hours, but that's why I test so frequently, because I don't want to strip my tank, or I'll see my nutrients levels go up, so I'll ramp up the lighting again, and then I'll see where my tank is sitting at. You just keep monitoring. That's something about Reef Tank. You got to keep testing just to double sure. And that's why, like, one day if we ever get a Mastertronic, I'm hoping to tie that into it, because this way I'll be like, oh, I'll get the readings on my phone. I can adjust my Paxbellum accordingly. It'll make things that much easier. But
so now when you say you're adjusting the light settings, you're adjusting the light settings on your tank or on the Paxbellum?
On the Paxbellum.
Okay, so
I have the lighting schedule, right? So it turns on everything by itself on the controller. So, like the more lighting, the more nutrients uptake. And if I want to drop it, just less lighting.
Okay, so if you had like a Mastertronic, you could actually program that statement in. If test equals this, then turn this.
You could, yeah. If they had a plug or something that you could.
Well, they do. They've got the Powertronic coming, Ryan.
No, that's true. That's true. That's very true.
Well, I mean, yeah. Well, I mean, if you're going through your controller, we got a lot of technology. Just it's just seeing companies like Paxbellum and all of this technology in the hobby. It just humbles me so much to see how much functionality and control we have now to that level. I mean, growing plant life to maintain stability is something we would have never thought of 20 years ago.
Right. If you have a little extra and you want to feed your urchins and stuff, they love it too.
Well, not only that, okay, for you freshwater people out there, like if we have like Java for guppy grass, you can actually mass produce guppy grass if you're breeding fish, which I do. I grow it just to breed fish. So if I had a unit made for growing that can be pretty profitable. That's pretty good.
No code, Mark.
That's a lie. You've got that special Canadian code.
We're in the U.S.
Not for a Paxbellum. Other companies, yes. But not for
right. Okay, so now I've got to ask. So Randy Donowitz jumped in and said, hey, guys, just saying hi from Pratt Reef in Brooklyn, home of the longest operating packs on the planet.
That's where we started, right?
Pratt?
Yeah. Can you confirm or deny that statement that it is, in fact, the longest running one?
Well, that's where I met Tristan.
Definitely confirm.
Pratt University. Yeah. That's where the Reeferpalooza was, right? When he was a much younger man, right?
Yeah, it was in Manhattan.
Manhattan Reef Club?
Manhattan Reef, the flag swap.
There you go.
Very nice.
Yeah, I did tested a lot of my prototypes on the Pratt Reef.
Okay.
Actually, the first one was tested on the Pratt Reef.
Yeah, did I say
So,
Brooklyn? That's Manhattan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Manhattan.
It wouldn't exist without Randy's help.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
Shout
That's
out
cool,
to
though.
Randy.
I mean, that's definitely some product history there.
Yeah, it's a few years now.
Right. So now one thing that we haven't talked about, like we just jumped right into the packs and everything. But what
Right.
I'm really curious is, what actually caused you to want to develop such a product? What's a little bit of the backstory behind packs and just how it came to be?
Yeah, it was 2004. I was working at Atlantis Marine World for Joe Waiulo.
Joe. Yeah.
I was propagating corals behind the scenes and taking care of some tanks there. And I was helping cultivate some microalgae. And we had the big fiberglass tubes, and they were lit from T5s externally. And I thought, I was also growing Chaeto in the troughs for nutrient control, and I was dosing nitrates to that system. So I thought, if I can get the Chaeto inside a cylinder, if I can get the T5 down the center, I could grow it more efficiently in a smaller space. And one of the first prototypes, the first prototype was a T5 down the center because we didn't have the LED technology then.
Oh, okay.
So definitely dangerous.
Yeah, I know, right?
Voltage.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we had a lot of issues with the heat cracking the acrylic tube and all sorts of stuff like that. And then eventually LEDs got strong enough. And I had an idea with, I was doing thermal hot water heating for my house. And on the roof, it uses a heat pipe to conduct all the heat away. So I had the idea of wrapping the LEDs around the heat pipe for cooling it.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Wow. I kind of want to see one of these old units just to see where it kind of started.
Yeah, I think probably Randy's got some photos. Could definitely send you some. Or post
I
it on our
actually-
Facebook page.
I actually have to post a link. I actually did a video from that reef swap. I was looking for it today. I definitely have to go back and look for that.
Nice. Well, that's cool to hear a little bit of background how that all got started.
Mr. Aiulo, once again, supporting the more inventions have come out of the Long Island Aquarium than I can even comprehend now. But great, man, great.
Yeah.
So we're going to take this time to go into our little commercial break.
I belong to you. I belong to you. Do just what you want. You're the one that tries.
And we're back again from that one.
Yeah.
I love that. We need to change that up now. Try something a little different. I don't know. I like it, but you know what?
The song ends, but the song ends before I can jam.
Right?
It's just not long enough to get into it.
Mark's got another question. Now with the water boiling in the tube, does that cause the tank water temp to go up significantly?
Good question.
No, it's not boiling at 212 Fahrenheit like it would on the stove. So it's actually, the water is under a vacuum, so it boils at a much lower temperature, and it's taking the heat away from the LEDs.
Okay.
And the vapor is going underneath the heat sink and releasing it to the atmosphere.
Okay.
So it's actually keeping it pretty cool.
So how much of an effect on the tank temperature do you think that would have? Like, should we run like a fan or something in that area, like in the summer, or is that something we should worry about?
We haven't seen any significant raise in temperature. If your cabinet is sealed, though, Yeah, a fan would help, just because the heat could build up in the cabinet
Okay.
and then get into the water that way.
Definitely a good little warning there for people. So make sure you've got some form of ventilation if you're running a PAX in your cabinet. Personally, though, I wouldn't want to run it in my cabinet. It's too pretty.
It is. It's it is sexy. Like
that's a conversation piece.
Yeah, I have mine all.
What's that?
I hard plumbed mine out so you can just so you can see it. It looks good, you know.
I mean, but at the same time, it's kind of like, you know, back in the day, I hear I'm dating myself. It's like you could buy regular Levi's and you were all right. I mean, it was just, you know, whatever. But then when you went out and you bought the silver tabs, though, I mean, I'm just saying, like, you were flaunting there, and that's kind of what this is. Like,
it's like the Rolls Royce of you know,
of reactors.
Yeah.
You know, like it's really super pretty. And, you know, I've actually played with one a little bit, just kind of checking it out. And I didn't know about the tube and everything. I didn't really look at it that much, but I was just kind of looking at it. And the construction quality on them is absolutely stunning. I mean, it does not feel cheap at all. And I've looked at a few, and I look at them, and I'm just like, oh my god, I feel like I'm gonna break this thing. And it costs how much? But with the packs, though, I mean, wow, like they're definitely industrial units. Like it's really cool.
I mean, because I remember when I first saw it at one of the reef shows, I'm like, man, I gotta have one of these one day.
And they've evolved. The heat sink since like the first generation, the heat sinks evolved. The casing has evolved. Just the design of it just looks sleek.
Yep. Yeah, it's all built in house. So if I don't like something, I can just go down to the machine, you know, change the program, run a prototype, test it out.
That's handy.
Yeah, I don't have to send it off. Have it made and then test it.
So, and that's a really nice thing with you doing it in-house, though, and being able to do that. But that raises another question here. I'm kind of curious, because nanos are kind of all the rage now, and you don't really have room in a lot of these smaller AIOs. Are you looking into potentially releasing a smaller unit that would work for a smaller tank?
We've been asked before, but I don't think we could do it at a price point that people would really want to pay.
Okay.
As well as the chamber size becomes so small in diameter that it's almost not worth it to centrally illuminate it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you could couldn't you do the same thing with a smaller unit and just choose that light schedule? You could choose a lower light schedule and run it off the what is the smaller, the 18 model. I mean, how nano are you thinking nano?
Well, I mean, not necessarily like nano. Like, you know, it would be kind of cool to have, you know, a smaller one that you could get in, like, you know, the $300-ish range or so that would work for like a 20-gallon. But I mean, I'm saying smaller, so like your 40s and your 30s, because it almost seems like an N18 is just overkill as far as something that small goes.
Well, it's rated 40 to with the smaller unit is rated 40 to 120. Yeah. So that's good. So when you start in the hobby with your 40-gallon and say, oh, man, I want to get a Red Sea reefer. You got the same Paxbellum ready to upgrade, go right into the next tank. Or have you thought about, Ryan, running 2 tanks off of one?
Yeah, or we've had people that have started off with an N18. They get a bigger tank, and then they can just get a second N18 and run them like harvest one week, harvest the other the next week, so you can alternate them.
Yep.
And then you have 2 of everything, so you have redundancy in your system.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
He's like the Elon Musk of reactors.
Right? So Robert Borman's saying that he'd buy a $300 model for a nano. I mean, I know I would. Hey, if I could get a really cool one that I could strap to the back of a 20-gallon or something there that would just give me that extra compartment, I would totally do it. I'm just saying. But I'm also that guy.
Yeah,
so
we've had people run N18s on 20 gallons. The only thing is they end up just burning through all the nutrients, and they end up dosing phosphate. So if that's something you want to do, you can run it.
Well, no. We were talking just like a smaller one. I sure as heck wouldn't run an N18 on a 20-gallon. My head's bigger than the tank.
Well, there's also, I don't know if you guys still do that, but I think in your kit, didn't you include like the molybdenum and the nitrogen solution that you used to dose? I don't know if you guys still do that. That comes with the Paxbellum. So that's to
Yeah.
encourage the.
I got some here. I'll grab it.
Oh, okay. That's to encourage the chaeto to grow, so you're not rapidly depleting everything in the tank, the potassium and which
Okay, so
another thing I
Yeah,
don't
we
test
include
for.
the nitrogen molybdenum supplement, which is it gives ammonium and nitrate and molybdenum, and you want to keep a ratio.
Oh, okay.
of
There it
at
is.
least 20-1 to
Can you see
phosphate.
it?
Yep. There it is. Just a little greened out, but that's it. Okay, that's the one that comes with it.
Yeah,
It comes with both of those.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
yeah. That one is the iron
Nitrogen.
manganese.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So the nitrogen molybdenum is dosed as needed to keep that ratio of 20-1 to 100-1 of nitrogen to phosphate. And that'll keep the chaeto growing.
Yeah.
So now, do you try to keep those same
Yeah.
ratios if you're running a different macro?
Yeah,
Okay.
about 100 to 1 is optimal. So say your phosphate is 0.05,
Yeah.
you'll set your nitrate at 5 ppm,
Hmm.
or at least 1 ppm.
Okay.
Now, Stefan, I see your comments, Stefan, Mr. Ferguson. He say he was going to DIY one. I'm telling you right now, don't DIY one because I tried it and that housing cracked.
Did it?
Oh yeah.
Oh, I've
wrapped-
heard of that a lot.
I wrapped the LEDs around. This was
Yeah.
before. This was
Yeah.
before Paxbellum was even like where they are now. This was like, okay, wow, can I grow chaeto without
Right.
doing it in a refugium? And we had all kind of mad scientist moments. And if that chamber cracks, oh man, it's a mess. You're talking about electricity and water and whatever else could go wrong.
Yeah, we went through all that in testing. And I tried to tell people on forums not to do it, and what was going to happen, that was the plastic's going to craze
Mhm.
from the heat cycling on and off.
Yeah.
That's
And everyone
it.
just attacked me. They're like, oh, you're just trying to sell your product. Shut up.
It expands and
Yeah.
contracts. It's
Yeah.
like ice fishing,
Yeah.
And
unsafe.
Yeah. Some polymers can do that, and the one that we chose for the sleeve can handle that thermal cycling. But acrylic definitely can't, especially not extruded acrylic.
Another topic is vibrant. I get a lot of people asking me, does your Cheeto ever melt away? I'm like, well, first off, I don't use vibrant. And I see a lot of people that do use vibrant and they lose all their Cheeto in their tanks. Have you heard much about this?
I never used Vibrant.
No.
I never saw the need to use Vibrant, to tell you
Well,
the truth.
you've got hair algae issues and all that stuff. Quick
Just use
fix.
Brightwell Razor. It gets rid of it better than
Yeah.
that.
So have you heard much of that about that, Tristan, about
Nope.
the vibrant?
It looks like we actually did lose Tristan there
Oh,
for
no.
a second. Tristan, are you back? Oh, I may have actually lost connection to my board.
And I posted for you guys, don't DIY one. I tell you, I probably have it sitting in there somewhere, but
Yeah.
it's one of those things where, people are always, oh, I don't want to spend the money. I don't want to do this. And they try to take a shortcut, and that shortcut can turn into a long issue or even dangerous. Because like I said, I've seen people like, oh, I'll DIY wrap some LEDs around
Yep.
what is it?
Lots of people do
A
it.
reactor. What is it? Phosphate reactor
Yeah,
or something
like
that.
two little fishies.
Yeah, that acrylic will crack. And that
Yeah.
LED, the wiring, that electricity, you mess around and set your place on fire or at least flood it because now all that
Oh.
water's running outside the
Oh,
tank or
yeah,
whatever.
exactly. That's the problem. Like some stuff is, you can DIY, but then some things you just got to be really careful with it. You have a really negative effect.
Here's what you do. Here's what I do because I'm cheap and I'm old school. Take
All right,
a
hold
100.
on real quick. Tristan, are you back?
Oh,
Yeah,
good.
back.
There we go. Okay. We lost him for a second there, guys.
Welcome back.
Did you hear my last question I asked you there, Tristan? Or
Something about vibrant.
yeah, because
Vibrant.
I get a lot of people messaging me about because they're running packs or any reactor about vibrant eating away their Cheeto, and I was saying like myself, I've never used vibrant and I won't because I see a lot of those issues happen. Like it seems it just strips everything and eats away that Cheeto. Have you ever heard much about that?
Yeah, it's definitely a chaeto killer.
Yeah, it is, right?
Yeah, we don't recommend using it.
Well, you're using
we've
it to
had-
kill algae, right?
Yeah, it's going to kill all sorts
It's
of
strong stuff.
including Chaeto.
Okay, so Robert is actually asking what you would suggest, again, just kind of recover it again real quick, with the exact dosing for nutrients and what gets tested and what's correlated.
Right. So if you test your phosphate and it reads, for example, 0.05 ppm, you'd want your nitrate reading to read 1 to 5 ppm, 1 being 20 to 1, and 5 being 100 to 1 ratio. So you would if you were lower than that, you would dose our nitrogen molybdenum supplement.
There you go.
All right, perfect.
Yeah.
David, let us know if it's coming through a little bit better. It is only doing like the left channel for some odd reason.
It's much better. I hear it much better.
Yeah, I can hear much better as well.
Okay, good. Maybe that'll actually adjust. All right, so we are actually approaching that hour mark here, guys. So if you've got any special questions that you want Tristan to answer, be sure to throw them up here so we can try and get through these. I think we've covered everything pretty well. I mean, I have one of those hard-hitting questions, though, as to be kind of expected for me. So my question is, and like I kind of already have the answer to this one just because I've looked at a lot of the different models and everything, but, you know, you hold the patents on these, and you were the first to kind of develop these and bring these to market and everything. So just in your opinion, you know, what is it that's like the defining feature or quality or whatnot that just makes yours or your product better than a lot of the other stuff on the market? You know, we've covered the DIY stuff, so we kind of know that one, you know, and the pitfalls with that. But I'm saying more some of the mass-produced ones where people have actually taken some time to do a little bit of R&D and produce them.
Yeah, we're always going to lead in innovation. Ours has the most intense lighting for the fastest algae growth. We have a heat management system that none of the others do. So unlike the others, you're not going to get scaling on the light sleeve. Yeah, also how the lid is designed for easy opening. All of our parts you can buy individually, so if you break something,
Yep.
You don't have to buy the entire reactor over again. We also have the best support. I invented it, so I can answer your questions. And you can reach me on Facebook through our support group.
Wow.
Yeah, so we're always going to out innovate. Yeah.
Yeah, he is very. I've asked him lots of questions. He's always helping me. And plus, you know, his the group over there is very helpful as well.
That's the most important part
Yeah.
about any
Yep.
product you get for your tank. What kind of
Service.
support you're gonna get.
Oh, it's big, right? And sometimes people they look at these things, they're like, "Oh my god, it looks so complicated," especially with the dosing and stuff.
Yeah,
If you can hit up the man that made it and ask him those questions, it's definitely
Yeah, when you
beneficial.
when you invest, you want to know that
Yep.
somebody's out there supporting it,
Exactly.
not a fly by night.
And we also have features like we just developed the chamber liner that slips inside.
Yep.
So instead of having to scrub the inside of the chamber, you can pull that liner out, take it over to the sink, and wipe it down.
Yep.
Wow.
That's nice.
Okay, so actually, this is kind of a funny question. Robert's wondering where you came up with the name for Paxbellum.
Yeah.
Paxbellum is actually my family crest, Scottish crest. So it's actually from Aut Pax, Aut Bellum, which is either peace or war.
Okay.
Plan for hope for peace, plan for war, and it also has a kind of like the reef is. It looks peaceful, but actually it's a battlefield for real estate.
Okay.
Nice.
I like that.
Now
Yeah.
I want to get that tatted on my arm now. That's really deep, baby. That's deep.
Yeah, that's
Right.
awesome.
And the crest is a dagger, forearm with a dagger coming out of the ocean.
Oh, cool.
That's awesome.
I gotta find that. Now I'm
So-
really intrigued now.
It's all connected. It's all connected.
Right? I'm
Yeah.
definitely have to look for it. Stefan,
That's awesome.
actually, so Stefan's talking about my board here. I'm
Yeah, I saw
actually
that.
running the Rode Procaster. So I have a really good, really expensive board. I'm still learning how to use it, okay? So give me a little bit of a break here.
To every journey, there are the first steps. Just like reefing.
Yeah, I mean that's an intense background for the name.
Right?
I really
I'm
like
wanting
it.
a tattoo. You think I'm lying? That's a reef man's tattoo, like
I
a
mean,
knife coming out of
You're
your
gonna, you're gonna be a Paxbellum fanboy now.
Oh
bud.
no, here we go.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm telling you, I want one now just because
Yeah.
to support that lineage and everything, and,
Right?
an awesome product. Like that's
We're gonna
really
have to have
cool.
a blood brother ceremony where we all like cut our fingers and give blood for the crest.
You're gonna be brothers. And you both have to get a Paxbellum now.
Ah,
Yeah.
See? Yeah.
right.
I got to get a new tank. My tank is outdating most of the people here. I really don't tell my wife. Time to upgrade.
Very
Yep.
much so. Very much so. All right, so we have officially hit that hour. A couple of quick little tidbits here, I guess. There was the sneak peek for those of you that are watching. We are going to do an amazing. Hey, Robert, thank you for the
Thanks,
5 bucks.
Robert.
Appreciate the support.
Appreciate it, buddy.
So we are gonna do a really cool giveaway next week. Actually, a cool thing is that nobody really knows about yet. Just to kind of start amping this up here a little bit, I'm actually gonna be doing a remote, so I'm not gonna be at home with the green screen and all that stuff. I am going to be sitting somewhere really cool with about 35,000 gallons of salt water and sharks and rays sitting behind me. So next week is definitely going to be a show you don't want to miss.
Yeah,
Sean's
maybe-
gonna put his arm in a shark. You guys got to tune in for that.
Right? I'm gonna try and pet one. I definitely can pet a ray though. I will do that live.
It's gonna be awesome.
I don't know about a shark, but I'm gonna pet a ray.
Pet the
Yeah.
shark.
So make sure everybody tunes in because we got a bunch of prizes to give away. You got to be there to win it.
Right?
You got to be
Yep.
in it to win it.
Yep.
You know what? I'm gonna make a special offer here, and I think I can work this one out. If we get like $50 in super chats on that show, I'll actually jump in the tank live.
Whoa.
Oh, I would throw $50 to see him. But you got to put your arm. You got to put your head in the shark. Like I wanna,
No. They're little sharks. They're not big. They're little sharks. But it's gonna be awesome. It's a great place. I went. I got some really cool pictures. I'm gonna finish editing those over the next day or so. We're gonna start putting some of those out. Drawing some really good hype. So it's gonna be an awesome show. You guys don't want to miss it. So I guess on that note, stay safe. Don't catch COVID. It was great hanging out with you guys. Come back next week. Again, big announcements. So just be safe and thanks for the support. We really appreciate you guys.
Yeah.
good night. Love
And thanks.
the hair grease.
And thanks, Tristan, for coming on the show, man. I really appreciate it. Learned a lot tonight. And hopefully all the followers learned something.
And we will continue.
Yeah, thank you for having me on.
We will continue on all the Facebook pages. I will post a lot of information on the Paxbellum. I've been collecting all the information, all of the pictures on Farm Boy Reef, Brooklyn Aquarium Society, D from Brooklyn, all of them. Check out BeavsReef. Check out Hulk's build. I'm gonna almost slip some secrets out there. We got to get the freshwater thing going on, Ryan.
Yeah, I know. Busy man.
It's coming. It's coming.
Many projects. And if you're not following us, you won't know what's happening. So make sure you're following.
All right. Well, thanks a lot, Tristan. You have yourself a good night. And thank you,
Thanks.
everybody.
Appreciate it.